mix and asset allocation. So that's coming up. So your asset mix, you I think it's helpful always to review your asset allocation, stocks, bonds, cash, what piece you have in each bucket. Your needs and objectives will drive your asset mix, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Risk tolerance and needs are your main factors to determine your asset allocation. And liquidity, how much cash do you need from your investments? When do you need it? We'll talk about that as well. So on the next page, you'll see asset allocation. And this talks about, so an all stock portfolio is over here. It's the green, 100% stocks. And that has obviously the largest potential upside, right? But it also has the largest potential downside when you have a 100% stock portfolio, okay? But your overall returns are going to be higher because you're taking on a lot of risk with that asset allocation of 100% equities versus 100% bonds, which is the black, and that it really provides stability in your portfolio, but not a lot of growth. This is an average of 5.5% over a 90-year period. So again, not huge. And these numbers, like 32.6%, we haven't seen in bonds in probably that long. So your average would probably be about 3 to 4%, I would say now. So it's really what a lot of our clients are in is they have more of a balanced portfolio. So like 60% stocks or 70% stocks, and then 30 or 40% in bonds. So the stocks are going to give you the growth that you need for longevity, and the bonds are going to give you the safety that you need and also some income stream. So it used to be many years ago that people would be more invested in bonds because they would pay an income stream. And I don't know about any of you, but the last 10, 15 years, only until recently, bonds weren't paying that large of a percentage point for income. So if you had gone with that strategy, you would have really been not beating inflation during that time frame because the income wasn't there from the bonds. So instead, a lot of people have moved to what's called kind of a total return. And what that does is it takes your account, say that your account value is $500,000, and you're in a 60 to 70%, 60 or 70% stock allocation, and then a 30 to 40% bond allocation. And then something that we would do is we would say, you know what, you could, because of the growth that's in your portfolio, you could live on 3 to 4% of that. So you just take out a total amount as opposed to just living off the income. Because as your account grows, your distribution will grow. So what that means is if your account grows, you're starting at 500,000, and then you have performance during that year, and maybe the next year your account is at 575,000. So your distribution, your 3% or your 4% that you're taking off that market value, will increase as time goes by, most likely. There's going to be down years like there was in 2022, but for the most part, your asset values would increase based on that kind of a balanced projection, balanced allocation. What kind of questions do you have about that? Does everyone understand what I'm talking about? Good. Okay. And then this is the last slide, or where you have to just, so I think it's important to review, revisit, revise your financial plan. Family situations change, tax and property laws change, as you were talking about earlier. Like, we don't know what the taxes are going to be on Social Security. We don't know what effects are going to happen with this current administration, just like anytime there's an administration change. Your assets and net worth will change as well. Hopefully they'll increase, but sometimes they'll decrease. And how does that affect you? How does that affect your net worth? How does that affect your liquidity? How does that affect your payment stream? Any changes to expenses and income? Any health changes, again, like we talked about, maybe there's more medical bills, maybe you have to make your home more accessible for you, things like that. New medications, sometimes medications can be pretty expensive. I talked to someone the other day, they said they were on a new medication and it was about $1,200 a month. And it used to be a lot cheaper, but now it's $1,200. You're not going off the medication, right? So now you have to allocate your resources in a different way to make sure that you can afford that. So basically, what my main goal was to tell you about, to take control, get organized, and start today. That's it. It's easy, right? Like, take control and start today. You're welcome.
Going back to documents that you prepare, your proxy and
Healthcare proxy.
all those documents, and some people might have a mulch, for example, in New York State. You need to have someone that we trust who knows where all this stuff is.
Right.
Either in our home, in our filing cabinet, in our safe deposit, wherever it is, somebody's got to know where it is. So you have to. We're experiencing this ourselves. We have to find someone who we trust, who can might be the executor
Right.
of your state, for example, but it might be somebody else.
Right.
So that's a really important thing to bear in mind.
And I think it's important to the old expandable file. They're still very good. I still use them. I have all of my documents in there, so that on the front cover of the expandable file it says estate documents, so that if something were to happen to me and my husband, our son would know where to look. It's very clearly printed on, and he knows where it is. So it's really important, again, to mention that to a family member or a friend or someone that you trust. And again, make sure that when you do your healthcare proxy and your power of attorney, that you are using a trustful person, because they would have access to all of your finances and all of your medical history and medical decisions, should they need to.
I'm just thinking about something that we're going through right now with power of attorney. And you didn't mention this, but I've heard that we should, which is why we're doing it. So our power of attorney is our daughter. I made sure that I've given the power of attorney statements to our financial institutions. But then we're planning on adding her name to our accounts, because when you die, it's much quicker for that power of attorney person to access and be able to pay your bills.
So that's not true, because when you pass, your power of attorney is not valid.
Right.
The power of attorney is only valid. That's why I said it's really important during your lifetime. So a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy are void at your passing.
So do a POD.
Yeah, you can do a TOD or a POD. Any named beneficiaries does not go through your estate. So you can name her as a beneficiary and she would get it immediately.
The other thing is, I have a durable power of attorney. It can be enacted. I signed it all. The regrets have agreed to it. But it makes sense if we're still pretty much compass mentis, because you never know. Even if you think you got your best friend in the whole world or your family member in the whole world, doesn't mean they can't all of a sudden decide, Biddy needs to go bye-bye. I'm going to go to court and get her declared compass mentis.
I'm not sure what the question is, but so most of the time when you have a power of attorney statement, you have the document, you can go into any financial institution and use that power of attorney and you are granted access. So it's really important to have a person that you trust with that power of attorney form. You don't have to go to court and get them, voted like incompetent or anything like that. Maybe yours is different, but in typical power of attorneys, you can use that document anywhere, even at any point. So it's really helpful to keep it under lock and key, but also have someone that's trustful that you have with it. Yes?
I just want to mention, power of attorney, you want to make sure it's a durable power of attorney.
That's what she was saying. Yeah, durable power of attorney. That's what they do now, the newer form. It's a new New York State form, but they're all durable power of attorneys forms, unless it's an old one. Any other questions? Good? All right. Oh, one more. Sorry. Definitely. So digital assets, what do you do with them? Digital assets would be like a whole other seminar, but that's true. You have to have your passwords someplace. Again, a lot of times we have things on our phones and people don't have access to your phone. So it's important to write all that stuff down. I would keep it in that folder. Like my expandable file has all my passwords in it so that if someone needs to access it, they can. It's really important, and people forget about their digital assets. And now more and more, that's becoming a big piece of all of our lives.
You can also sign up for like a password one account,
Yep.
and with that, you get designate somebody
To have your
to
access
have
to your
that, and they
passwords.
get what's called a password sheet.
Yep. So, oh, go ahead. You want to repeat it? So you could have there's programs out there that will hold your passwords, kind of in a password organizer. We use LastPass. LastPass controls all of our access, our online. So if you have access to my LastPass, you can see all of my passwords and all my user IDs, and everything that I have is all on LastPass. Whereas you said
We use password one.
password one. So there's a bunch of different.
It is very.
Oh,
Lying.
LastPass is pretty easy. So
They have to-
LastPass is very easy.
What is it, last?
LastPass. LASTPASS. Yep. All one word. Okay, all set? You guys all set to do your financial plan, budget, net worth statement? Everybody's ready?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.